Hi, I'm Light Blue and Lavender, and today I'm going to be working through my first SAT practice exam for this channel. I'll be working through the math sections of the publicly available SAT practice tests on College Board's website. And so, here we go. So, here for problem 1 we have x minus 1 over 3 is equal to k, and k is equal to 3. From this we know we can immediately replace k with 3, so we have x minus 1 over 3 is equal to 3. And because x minus 1 is being divided by 3, we can balance out the equation by multiplying 3 on both sides, which gives us x minus 1 is equal to 9. Adding 1 on both sides gives us x is equal to 10. And therefore the answer is D. Here for question 2, we see that I is equal to the square root of negative 1. So then we just sum these two values, 7 plus 3i plus negative 8 plus 9i. This simply just combine the 7 and negative 8, get negative 1, and then combine the 3i and 9i, and you get 12i. And that would be A. On Saturday afternoon, Armin sends M text messages each hour for 5 hours, and Tyrone sends P text messages each hour for 4 hours. Which of the following represents the total number of messages sent by Armand and Tyrone on Saturday afternoon? Well, they're each individual, so it's an addition. We're not multiplying them together. And it's M text messages each hour, so it's a rate of M. And P text messages each hour for Tyrone, so it's a rate of P. And so that would be 5 times M and 4 times P, because if Tyrone sends 2 messages per hour, it'd be 4 times 2, so that would be 8. And if Armand sends 3 messages per hour, that'd be 5 times 3, and that would be 15. And because we know these are separate, we can add them together. It'd be 23 in this example. It's always useful to go through some example calculation in your head and see if it makes sense. And so therefore, the answer here is C, 5M plus 4P. Kathy's a repair technician for a phone company. Each week she receives a batch of phones that need repairs. The number of phones that she has left to fix at the end of each day can be estimated with this equation, where P is the number of phones left and D is the number of days she has worked that week. What is the meaning of 108 in this equation? If D is the number of days, let's say D is equal to 1. What does the equation look like? P is equal to 108 minus 23D, where P is the number of phones left. P is equal to 1. This is the same thing as saying 108 minus 23. When D is equal to 2, P is equal to 108 minus 23 times 2, which is 108 minus 46. It seems like the 108 continues to decrease. And likely it's the number of phones she needs to do every week. If D is equal to 0, or at the very start, it's 108 minus 23 times 0, which is 108. And if P is the number of phones left, P is equal to 108. At the start of the week, there are 108 phones in total to fix, so we have B. Here we have question 5, which is combining some polynomials. So we have x squared y minus 3y squared plus 5x y squared minus x squared y, 3xy squared minus 3y squared. Here we can distribute the negative. So we have really x squared y minus 3y squared plus 5xy squared from the first parentheses. And then we're going to add, because it's easier to work with addition, x squared y, because the two negatives cancel out and become a plus, minus 3xy, which is 3xy squared, as the addition becomes a negative, and then we turn the 3y squared into a plus 3y squared. We see here that we lose the y squared. We get 2x squared y, and then the 5 minus 3 would result in a positive 2, so it'd be plus 2xy squared. And when we look at our answers, we can see that C is the correct answer. A pediatrician uses the model above to estimate the height h of a boy in inches in terms of the boy's age a in years between the ages 2 and 5. Based on the model, what is the estimated increase in inches of a boy's height each year? This is equivalent to asking to what is the slope of a line. So if suppose we have h is equal to 3 times 0 plus 28.6. While this doesn't really make much sense here since it says it's between the ages of 2 and 5, we are assuming here that when the boy is 0 or just born, the height is 28.6. So this is always the same. This does not change from year to year. This is the starting point. What does change is every year the 3. So each year the estimated increase in inches of the boy's height is going to be 3. A way of seeing this is if we plug in different a's. So if a is equal to 2, we're going to have h is equal to 3 times 2 plus 28.6. If a is equal to 3, we're going to have h is equal to 3 times 3 plus 28.6. And we'll see the same up until a is equal to 5. This is different from this by 3. So this is plus 3. And then the 4 is also in here. That'll be plus 3. And then it'll be plus 3 again. It's 3 every year. To work through this question, we're going to rewrite it in simpler terms. We see that on the top and the bottom, we have a common value of 1 plus r over 1,200 to the n. We're going to rewrite that as b, and we're going to rewrite r over 1,200 as a. So you have b to the n over b to the n minus 1 times p. Multiplying this on both sides, for the b to the n minus 1, since it's being divided, we have m times b to the n minus 1 is equal to a times b to the n times p, dividing both sides by a by times b to the n to keep p alone. We are given p is equal to b to the n minus 1 over a times b to the n times m. We can rewrite this back with our original values. B to the n is just 1 plus r over 1,200 to the n. We have the minus 1. Replace the b to the n on the bottom as well, and we have 1 plus r over 1,200 to the n. And then we replace the a, r over 1,200, and multiply that by m. And clearly the answer here is going to be b. For question 8, we have if a divided by b is equal to 2, what is the value of 4b over a? If a over b is equal to 2, we can multiply both sides by b and get a is equal to 2b. Or 2b is equal to a. 4b is equal to 2 times 2b. And we know 2b is equal to a. So 2 times 2b can be rewritten as 2 times a. So then we know that if 4b is equal to 2 times a, then 4b over a is equal to 2a over a is equal to 2, which is c. For systems of equations, we want to get numbers alone. We want to get variables alone. Here we have 3x plus 4y is equal to negative 23, 2y minus x is equal to negative 19. Here, the negative x can be very useful for us. If we multiply the bottom equation on both sides by 3, we have 6y minus 3x is equal to negative 19 times 3 is negative 57. We can then add this with the top equation. This gives us 10y is equal to negative 80. Dividing by 10 on both sides, we have y is equal to negative 8. We can see the answer is b, as that's the only option. But if we plug this into the bottom equation to just get the x, we have 2 times negative 8 minus x is equal to negative 19. This gives us negative 16 minus x is equal to negative 19. Add 16 on both sides, we get negative x is equal to negative 3, or x is equal to 3. For the function g defined above, a is a constant and g4 is equal to 8. What is the value of g negative 4? So here we're going to plug in 4 for x. So g of 4 is equal to a times 4 squared plus 24, which is the same thing as saying 16a plus 24, as 4 squared is 16. We know this is equal to 8. So now we can try to solve this equation for a. 16a plus 24 is equal to 8. Subtract 24 on both sides. We have 16a is equal to negative 16 here, and then we know a is equal to negative 1. But that's not what we're solving for here. Don't get confused and put in c. What we're solving for is what is the value of g at negative 4. So for this, we plug in negative 4 for g, which means it's negative 4 for x. So that would be negative 1 times negative 4 squared plus 24 is equal to negative 1 times 16. Negative 4 squared is the same thing as 4 squared, and it's the same thing as 16, plus 24. So we have negative 16 plus 24, and thus the answer is 8, the same answer as g of 4. And that would be A. So in the equations above, B and C represent the price per pound in dollars of beef and chicken, respectively, X weeks after July 1st during last summer. We want to find when they were equal. So we set B is equal to C, so 2.35 plus 0.25x is equal to 1.75 plus 0.40x. We're going to subtract the 0.25x as we want to solve for x. And I like subtracting 0.25 over to the 0.4 over the other way around, because then we would have a negative x. Extra work, not necessary. So 0.4 minus 0.25 is positive 0.15x. And then we want to subtract the 1.75 over so that we can divide by 0.15 after. This would give us 0.6 is equal to 0.15x. 0.6 divided by 0.15 to get x alone gives us x is equal to 4. This, however, doesn't give us the price per pound. This just tells us what week. So, in order to get the actual price per pound, we need to plug this into both equations, or just one of them. B is equal to 2.35 plus 0.25 times 4. And that gives us 2.35 plus 1, or 3.35. And just to verify, 1.75 plus 4 times 0.4 is 1.75 plus 1.6, which is 3.35. So we know that answer is correct. A line in the xy plane passes through the origin and has a slope of 1 over 7. Which of the following points lie on the line? So we can visualize this quickly. If it passes through the origin, it crosses through 0, 0. That means it doesn't have a slope-intercept. The slope-intercept is 0. If it's going at a slope of 1 over 7, that means for every 1 increase in y, it goes over 7. So that would be 7, 1. The next point would be 2 times further out. So if we have 7, 1, an additional 7, 1 over would be 14, 2. So the answer is D. We know A is wrong because that would imply there's a slope-intercept at 7. We know B is wrong because that would imply the slope is 7 over 1 because at x is equal to 1, the y is 7. We know C is wrong because it would imply a slope of 1. Because if you divide 7 by 7, you get 1. And then to check for B, you would divide the rise over the run, so that would be 7. D is the only one that has a 1 over 7 slope, because 2 over 14 reduces to 1 over 7. So for this problem, we're going to simplify the bottom fractions. To do this, let's just take those two first. We have to multiply the denominators across to have a common denominator. X plus 3 times 1 is x plus 3. X plus 2 times 1 is x plus 2. And then the common denominator would be x plus 2 times x plus 3, which would be x squared plus 2x plus 3x plus 6. And then this would be simplified to, if we combine the x's on top, 2x, 3 plus 2 is 5. Then x squared plus 2x plus 3x is 5x plus 6. All of this is divided by, or 1 is divided by all of this. And when we divide a number by a fraction, it's the same thing as multiplying by the inverse of that fraction, so x squared plus 5x plus 6 over 2x plus 5, which is the same as saying x squared plus 5x plus 6 over 2x plus 5, and that is just b. Question 14. If 3x minus y is equal to 12, what is the value of 8 to the x over 2 to the y? The first thing we should notice is that 8 to the x over 2 to the y is the same thing as saying 2 to the 3 to the x over 2 to the y, which is equivalent to 2 to the 3x over 2 to the y. We can simplify this now because we have similar bases. So now we have 2 to the 3x minus y, because when we divide two numbers that have the same base, we can subtract their exponents. Now we can solve for y using the other equation, where 3x minus y is equal to 12 becomes 3x is equal to 12 plus y, and finally y is equal to 3x minus 12 when we move 12 to the other side. We can plug this in, so we have 2 to the 3x minus 3x minus 12, which becomes 2 to the 3x minus 3x, cancels out the 3x's, plus 12, or 2 to the 12, which is answer A. Question 15. If ax plus 2 times bx plus 12 is equal to 15x squared plus cx plus 14 for all values of x, and a plus b is equal to 8, what are the two possible values for c? Okay. A plus b is equal to 8. We have a 14 and a 15. We know for sure because 15x squared only comes from the ax times the bx, that a times b must equal 15. We know a plus b is equal to 8. We know the 14 comes from the 2 times 7. And we know c is from ax, or a times 7, and b times 2. So now we can try to solve for a or b in either of these cases. First, we're going to solve for a. A is equal to 8 minus b. Now that we have a, we can plug it into the multiplication. If a is equal to 8 minus b, then b times 8 minus b is equal to 15. This becomes negative b squared plus 8b is equal to 15, or negative b squared plus 8b is equal to, or minus 15 is equal to 0. We can flip this up with a negative, divide by negative 1, and we get b squared minus 8b is equal to, or plus 15. 15 factors are 5 and 3, so it's likely this is just b minus 5, b minus 3. Let's see if either of these work. This means b is equal to 5, comma 3. So in this case, since we have a plus b is equal to 8, then that means that a plus 5 is equal to 8, and a plus 3 is equal to 8, which means a is equal to 3 or 5 as well. Finally, we can plug it in both of these cases. C is equal to a times 7 plus b times 2. In one case, a is equal to 3 and b is equal to 5, and in the other case, a is equal to 5 and b is equal to 3. So c is equal to 3 times 7 plus 5 times 2, or 21 plus 10. And in another case, c is equal to 5 times 7 plus 3 times 2, which is equal to 35 plus 6. This is 42. This is 31. Or 41, my bad. The answer is D. Alright, on to question 16. If t is greater than 0 and t squared minus 4 is equal to 0, what is the value of t? Well, t squared minus 4 is the same as t plus 2 and t minus 2. And that would mean that t is equal to negative 2, 2, because you would set t plus 2 is equal to 0, t minus 2 is equal to 0. So then up on the top, we would have t is equal to -2 and t is equal to 2. So the value of t, since t is greater than 0, has to be 2. Okay, for question 17, a camp counselor wants to find a length x in feet across a lake as represented in the sketch above. So if AB, EB, BD, and CD on the sketch. So AB is 1,800. EB is 1,400. BD is 700. And CD is 800. ACDE intersect at B, and AEB and CDB have the same angle. What is the value of x? So that means because B intersects AC and DE, that this angle here is equivalent. And then since we have two of the angles, we know the last angle, so the angle at C and the angle at A are also equal. So this is really just a proportion problem. So from A to B should be roughly the same as B to C, or proportionally the same. And E to B should be proportionally the same to B to D, and then E to A should be proportional to D to C. The question is, what are these proportions? We know E to B is 1400 and B to D is 700. For that reason, we know that E to B is 2 times as long as B to D. And since these triangles should be similar, and this is the same side effectively, we know that the bigger triangle, the ABE triangle, is 2 times as big. We're trying to find AE, and that would be proportional to DC. Since we know this is 2 times as big, then we know it's just 800 times 2, which is 1600. So x is equal to 1600. On to question 18. X plus y is equal to -9. X plus 2y is equal to -25. One way of solving this really quickly is subtracting the top equation from the bottom. So if we have x plus 2y on top, and we subtract x plus y and -9, you have to distribute the negatives. It'd be subtracting the x, so removing that x, subtracting a y, so you just have y is equal to, this becomes a plus, -25 plus 9, that's -16. Since -16 can be plugged back into the top equation, x plus y is equal to -9, x minus 16 is equal to -9, add the 16 on both sides, you have x is equal to 7. Now, does this actually make sense? 7 plus -16 is equal to -9, we know that. 7 minus 32 is equal to -25. It works for both. It's asking us to find the cosine of 90 minus x, where sine x is equal to 4/5 in a right triangle. So before we start doing any math, let's analyze what do we know about this triangle. We know for a given angle x that its opposite is 4 and its hypotenuse is 5. And we're trying to find cosine of 90 minus x. Well, 90 minus x, we know triangles are 180 degrees. If we subtract 90 and we subtract x, we're left with 90 minus x, and this will be this unknown angle. So the cosine of this unknown angle is just its adjacent, 4/5. So the answer is 4/5. Question 20. If a is equal to 5 square root of 2 and 2a is equal to square root of 2x, what is the value of x? Well, if we have a is equal to 5/2, then 2a is equal to 2 times 5/2, which is equal to 10 square root of 2. Since 2a is equal to square root of 2x, we have 10 square root of 2 is equal to 2x, square root of 2x. If we want to get rid of the square root, we square on both sides. And then we have 100 times 2, because when you square this, you have 10 times 10, and then square root of 2 times square root of 2 is equal to 2x. 200 is equal to 2x. X is equal to 100. And we finished the no calculator portion of this exam.